Hello everyone, it's me again, Indah Melinda Sari, Registered Migration Agent of ONEderland Consulting. I hope everyone is safe and sound as always. Please click the subscribe button and keep up to date of the Australian visa information with us. Being a migrant myself, I have a special understanding of the specific requirements involved in Australian immigration visas. If you're wondering about the process, especially if you're looking to bring your family over to Australia, you've landed on a perfect video. Why? Today's video can be your guide of general information about the pathway for your children to live and study permanently in Australia. The visa is part of the Australian Family Visa, aims bringing families together in the country. But before that, let me talk about the ideal family visa option for you. There are many options if you're looking for a visa to bring your family to Australia and live permanently with you. The option will rely on the status of your family members, either they are your children, your parents, or your partner. And for today's video, we are going to focus on the visa option to bring your lovely children to live with you in Australia permanently. Yes, that's the child visa, and this is a subclass 802. You might notice our previous video about the subclass 101 visa. Be noted that both 101 visa and 802 visa is different, that for the subclass 802 visa, your children must be in Australia when applying. So let's dive into the discover the requirement and benefits of the subclass 802 visa of this video. The subclass 802 visa is a permanent visa that allows your children to live and study in Australia. The visa application requires your children to be in Australia when applying for and receiving the decision. So if your children is currently in Australia with you holding a temporary substandard visa, this might be a good option. Other than being onshore, what are the other requirements? Sit tight, because now we will talk about the basic eligibility requirements that you and your children need to meet before applying for this visa. Okay, so basic eligibility for your children. In general, the basic eligibility for the 802 visa does not have big difference from what we discussed in our previous video about the subclass 101 visa. So you might be familiar with the main criteria. Okay, the first one, your children is depending on you. This is the initial factor you need to consider first. Is your child still depending on you? It means that your child must be dependent on you while they are not in marriage or in a de facto relationship with anyone. You must also be the eligible parent that have granted your Australian citizenship permanent resident as an eligible New Zealand citizen. Then what happens if they are your adopted or stepchildren? Don't worry, they will still have the chance to apply for this visa. However, be noted, adopted child will be granted the visa if they're adopted before they turn 18 years old. Meanwhile, if they're your stepchild, ensure that they're from your former partner and under 18 years old as well. Until here, do you realize that age requirement is an important thing for you to consider? Now, we'll move to provide you the details of age requirements for the child visa that we've summarized for you. Your child must be under 18 years old. This is very important criteria that you must be aware of. If your child is above 18 years old, there will be additional criteria to be met. What are those? If your children are above 18 years old, your children are required to be a full-time student. If they're not studying, your children must have a condition that disallows them to work or live independently. If they are on one of these conditions, they must be not more than 25 years old. And this brings us to the next requirement, which is all about taking responsibility for your family once you've brought them together in Australia. And when it comes to your responsibility, your child must be sponsored. For your friendly reminder, your child will not be granted this visa if they do not have a sponsor who can financially support them or provide accommodation. It also means that dependency on the sponsor is a crucial factor in obtaining the visa. And now you're wondering, who is the eligible sponsor? Who can sponsor your children for the child visa? Speaking of the basic requirements as child visa sponsor, you must be at least 18 or older and legally their non or biological parents. Also, you are required to take the responsibility as your child is still financially and mentally depending on you. You must provide accommodation for them to stay for their first 2 years stay. Both applicant and sponsor are also required to meet the following. First, meet health and character requirements of Australia, no adapt with Australian government, signed Australian values statement, and no visa refusal with genuine stay in Australia. Lastly, it is important to note that one of the key requirements for your child to be eligible for the child visa is to demonstrate that migrating to Australia is in their best interest. Are we all sorted with the basic eligibility requirement for the subclass 802 visa? Now, we will move on to the next section, which might be your next concern when applying for the 802 visa. And you're on the right track if you're wondering about the cost of this application. Okay, so as you can see on the Department of Home Affairs, the child visa, the cost is $2,790 for the main applicant. And if there is any additional applicant over 18, they will charge you for $1,395 or $700 for additional applicant below 18 years old. Based on the calculation of main and additional applicant, the total of your child visa application costs start from 4,885 Australian dollars. However, the cost is not your only concern to be able to apply for the child visa. Other crucial things for you to consider are the application process and how long the processing times for this visa. And it leads us to the next sections. 4 steps applying child visa, the subclass 802. Alright, the first one, you have to make sure your child holds a valid substantive visa in Australia. Get all of your child documentation and demonstrate your relationship with your child. Apply this visa on the paper. It means that you must send all the documentation by post to the respective processing office. After applying, the Department of Immigration will let you know the decision of your child visa. Ensure all of your documentation is completely provided and you're ready to go. While after applying, you might be wondering how long is the processing times? Now, next session is our information we provide to you after applying your visa. Okay, so in accordance to the Department of Immigration website, it seems that you need to wait at least 12 to 18 months to receive the decision from the Department of Home Affairs. This period already includes lodging your applications and also the time of you receive your child visa. To be clear, the Department of Home Affairs will let you know the decision of your child visa application in writing. Remember, it is very important to do your research and seek professional advice to make sure you meet all the necessary criteria. If you do have more questions related to bringing your family to Australia, find the answers of your questions with us, ONEderland Consulting. We also assure that if you need assistance with your visa issue, whether you just need some advice or want us to organize and submit the application, you can find our contact details in the description of this video and pinned in the comments. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to get the most updated and complete information in relation to any kind of Australia visa. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.